A Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate production. Behind the Podcast with Nico Santos. This show is about people behind the microphone and their story, how they started their journey to become successful podcaster. They will share help and tips in this growing industry. Behind the Podcast with Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate founder Miko Santos. Usapang CQ is a weekly talk show about the life of OFWs during the time of pandemic. Veteran foreign affairs journalist turned financial advisor Malou Talosig-Bartolome talks to OFWs themselves and migration specialists to check out what's the current situation of OFWs, how the COVID-19 is affecting their livelihood, understanding the environment they are in, and how they can move forward despite the lingering uncertainty. Usapang CQ with Malou Talosig-Bartolome.
Hello, Humanista. This is Miko Santos, and also now another episode of Behind the Podcast. So, nakaraang araw, so last Monday, we talk about Pay It Forward today. So, isa sa mga podcasters sa Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate, sila ay life coach din and financial advisor. I think katrabaho ito ng ating guest for today, kung saan pareho silang nagtatrabaho sa PRU UK life insurance as well. So, malamang kilala ni Malou to. So last week we talked to Coach Jendy De Guzman and Coach Neri Sotero. So they have the Pay It Forward Today podcast. Now, sa ngayon naman, we're talking about Usapang CQ. Ano ba yung CQ na yan? Quarantine, quality, I don't know. Pag-usapan natin kung ano yan. Bakit niya ginawa itong podcast na to or itong show na to? Bakit Usapang CQ? So, tatalakayin natin din about that. At syempre, matagal ko na rin kilala itong guest natin for today. Been a long time in the media industry as well. So, please welcome. Kailangan pa bang iba na to? I-introduce? Marami nang kilala dito. Siyempre, si Madam Malou Talosig-Bartolome. Welcome to the Behind the Podcast, Malou.
Hi! Maraming salamat. Maraming salamat, Miko Santos, at sa mga nakikinig at nanonood dito sa Guerrilla Philippines Podcast. Guerrilla Philippines Podcast. Tama ba?
Guerrilla Podcast Philippines.
Guerrilla Podcast Philippines. Talagang hindi ko talaga siya ma-memorize. Pasensya ka na. Ayun, Guerrilla Podcast Philippines. Yan. Okay. So, maraming salamat for this opportunity.
Alright. So, first question. So, sa lahat mga tao hindi nakakilala sa'yo, who is Malou Talosig-Bartolome? Aside from magaling man scoop during foreign affair days. So, ng istorya. So,
actually, a lot of people actually don't know me because I'm always behind the scene. Ikaw naman talaga, Miko. Ang nakakilala lang sa akin yung mga kasama natin sa industriya. I've been with the media industry for the past 25 years. Mga 9 years dyan, syempre kasama kita sa dyaryo, di ba? I used to be with a reporter, diplomatic ang beat ko sa newspaper today. It's a publisher namin yung Foreign Affairs Secretary ngayon na si Teddy Locsin. So he's my boss for almost a decade. And then when I moved to GMA Network, it's one of the top broadcast companies. I was a news editor, senior news editor, and I handled international news stories. That's why when I transferred to another industry, which is the financial world, I thought na bakit puro pala mga OFWs tong mga client ko? Yung pala talagang OFWs yata ang niche markets ko. So, aside from, of course, na may mga kakilala ko sa media, so napansin ko na, because media is my natural market, mga kaibigan ko, mga sa media, di ba? Pero apart from that, ang talagang mas naging niche market ko yung mga OFWs. So, when this pandemic came, I thought the media is not that much covering OFWs at the time. Kasi, di ba, ang dami-dami pang problema dito sa Pilipinas. Especially on quarantine, ganyan. So, I thought na, why not provide an extra, parang forum for OFWs. That's why Usapang CQ came about. CQ means ano yan? Community quarantine. Ibig sabihin, yun yung lockdown. Yun yung lockdown na version sa Philippines. Because we have a law, it's called quarantine law. If I may explain that, medyo explain ko ba talaga?
Sige.
We don't have a law on lockdown. Ano, Miko? Ang meron lang law sa Philippines yung quarantine law, which allows the government to quarantine communities. So apparently, the entire Philippines is the entire community. Ang na-lockdown lang naman talaga, in fairness naman din sa Philippine government, is yung the entire Luzon. Yan. Tapos may mga sporadic mga areas like in Cebu, ganyan. But yung talagang na-lockdown yung ECQ na tinatawag namin dito, which is Enhanced Community Quarantine. Ito yung Luzon. And then eventually nag-downgrade na to other CQ. Yun yung mga modified ECQ, naging general CQ. Kaya ginawang CQ kasi I thought na this pandemic will not be through 2 months, 3 months thing. So we will move from general quarantine, general community quarantine, tapos mag-move na naman sa ECQ, babalik na naman sa parang CQ lang kami ng CQ, di ba? Until magkaroon ng bagong normal or talagang bumalik na talaga sa old normal. Yun.
So say from news organization to financial, parang ang layo ata nung hinakbang mo. So paano nangyari? Paano ka nag-transfer from news to a financial? So parang napakalayo ng step nun. Is that hard? A challenge for you?
Sa umpisa, actually, I thought na I'll just start to look at my own finances. Like, if I'm going to join this industry, might as well, kasi libre yung training eh. Parang, okay, libre training, I can do all my finance, review of my own finances, ganon. Review all my financial portfolio, review ko yung mga kaibigan ko, pakonti-konti lang, until finally na, ay teka, parang media rin to na I'm selling stories. Kasi practically we're selling stories eh. Because it's like telling people na yung ikaw, yung ganito buhay mo, ganito buhay ko dati, at kasi I started young, Miko, na nakita ko nung nagko-cover tayo ng military and police beat, di ba? So nakikita natin na may mga namamatay, tapos umiiyak yung mga naiwan sa buhay kasi wala na silang pambayad sa mga utang nila, yung breadwinner namatay. So nakita ko as early as when I was 21 years old, 21 years old, na yung value ng insurance. Nung nag-cover ako sa Basilan, ang unang-unang tanong ng nanay ko nun sa akin, may insurance ka ba? Ako naman sabi ko, ano yun? Wala! Actually, wala talaga. Di ba tayo, sugod lang tayo ng sugod. Sugod lang tayo ng sugod sa mga coverage kasi it's exciting. It's exciting na makarinig ka ng mga barilan. Ako nun, na-excite ako nun. Na-excite talaga ako, promise. Tapos, wala naman akong family noon. I mean, wala naman akong anak, wala naman akong asawa, no one is dependent on my income. And yet, ang nakita ko, yung value ng insurance para doon sa mga may family na. Kasi sabi nung nag-ano talaga may nakausap talaga ako sa isang excursion ng mga journalist Ano siya, agent siya. Tapos sabi niya sa akin, oh, mura lang naman to Mura lang yung insurance actually. So I was actually earning 3,000 pesos a month. Ganyan ang kalit yung sweldo natin nun, di ba? I was actually earning 3,000 a month. Tapos ang no-offer niya sa akin insurance is about 8,000 a year. So like, parang kakayanin ko ba to? Kakayanin ko ba tong magbayad? Pero I grab it. It's because I thought na sooner or later magkakaroon din naman ako ng asawa. Sooner or later magkakaroon din naman ako ng anak. And more or less, mag-i-increase din naman yung sweldo ko, which happened. That's by the time na kailangan ko na ng insurance, baka hindi ko na kaya magbayad kasi mas tataas na magtataas. Which also happened na hindi ko na siya naging priority na magbayad ng insurance because a priority ko nung nag-anak na ako, nung nagkaroon na ako ng asawa, bumili ng bahay, di ba? Bumili ako ng kotse, ayun. So, at saka gusto ko nang mag-travel, yung mga anak ko gusto marami kaliwat kanan na mabakuna. So, maganda actually na nakapag-start ako ng early. Yun ang gusto kong kinukwento sa mga clients ko na I started early and I hope you start early because by the time you need it, baka hindi ka na pwedeng ma-insure. Yun, ganun. Ganun lang. Kwento-kwento lang kasi kinukwento ko lang yung buhay ko. Kinukwento ko yung buhay ng ibang tao. Ganun.
So sa tingin mo, a lot of Filipino doesn't care about the insurances?
Wala kasi tayo sa kamulatan. Wala siya sa 'di ba mga teachers, actually if you study in public school, maraming teachers piniprenda yung mga ATM nila, 'di ba? So,
True.
started tapos yung parents mo ang ano nila, ang disposition nila sa buhay is, anak, mag-aral kang mabuti para kapag nakapagtapos ka, maiahon mo kami sa kahirapan. Di ba, parang bibigyan mo siya ng isang obligasyon na parang ang insurance ng mga magulang ay mga anak. Di ba? Yun yung natin, that's our cultural thinking. That's why it's also hard for us like sa insurance industry in the Philippines to medyo convince na clients to save at the same time to trust yung institution who will take care of their future. Yun.
So kailangan talagang mamulat sila. Yes, so correct, tama ka diyan, because during our days in covering, we don't have any insurance. So bahala na kung sino mangyari, wala insurance.
Oo, actually. Until now, I received text messages from friends from the media industry asking for donation because nagkasakit sila, nagka-cancer sila, asking for mag-change.org o kaya GoFundMe. Whereas, if 2 years ago nakausap ko sila, yun yung talaga actually frustration ko ngayon. I wasn't able to reach out to as many people as I can when I started. Kasi parang pa ako mayabang kasi, di ba, mga media. Sa totoo lang, Miko, katulad ko, mga mayabang din kasi. Parang
may connection ako dyan, kaya-kaya yan.
yung parang, media ako, no? Daw mamatay. Medyo meron akong immunity, di ba? Ayan, kaya paprotektahan ako ni Presidente, paprotektahan ako ng general na to, 'di ba? May magbabayad ng ospital ko kasi kaibigan ako yung presidente ng ganitong ospital. So, meron ding may yabang ding pa na portion at the same time. Siguro meron ding denial on the part ng ng mga Pilipino rin. In general, di lang naman media may denial na, syempre, ayaw mo naman you come to a point na something happened to you. But a lot of times in our journey as journalists, lagi ko sinasabi sa kanila, lalo-lalo na sa Pilipinas, na ang dami-daming sakuna. Diba? And yung care for safety, hindi ganun ganun ka-importante. Hindi katulad, I'm sure where you are now in Australia, very, very pronounced ang ang safety, 'di ba? Yung protocol, 'yan sinusunod, 'di ba? Tayo hindi.
Especially especially if you have especially if you have own house sa Australia, kailangan meron kang insurance, life insurance. Especially if you own your own house with mortgage, kailangan may life insurance ka requirement 'yon. So even
yun din. Yung iba, well, I ask clients, do you have insurance sa kotse mo? Sabi niya, oh yeah, meron. O bakit ang kotse mo may insurance, ikaw wala? Siyempre, sabi niya, kasi requirement ng LTO. Okay, so, because there's always a possibility that you encounter an accident sa car mo. There's always also the possibility na ikaw din, something might happen to you. So you might also die in the future. Siyempre, ayoko naman sabihin die, but because medyo, alam mo naman mga Pilipino, Asian, so medyo pasakalya, di ba? Di katulad mga I'm sure, mga Australians, mga kano, sabi namin, what if you die? You die. Tayo mga Pilipino, yung mga meron tayong, siyempre, pag kinuha ka na ni Lord, di mo na natin alam kung kailan kukunin ni Lord, may mga ganyan. So, yun. Ganyan. So, we have to adapt also to the Asian way of thinking.
Kasi iba sabi, mahal naman, sayang yung pera ko. So yun ang mentality. So, hopefully,
actually, that's why medyo popular na rin ngayon yung insurance among the millennials kasi yung product is pinackage, parang kinombo, kumbaga combo meal siya with investment. And a lot of millennials are into investment now. May ganyang kamulatan ngayon ang mga millennials natin. Kasi 'di ba, unlike our sabihin ba natin ng age natin, Miko? Yung mga age group natin.
Say Gen X.
Yung mga age group natin, parang hindi tayo ganyan kamulat, unlike yung mga millennials, if I may speak based on my experience. Kasi yung mga millennials, siguro, they have parents to turn to. Meron pa silang parents na nagsusupport sa kanila while they're on their first job, yung first phase ng career nila, nandiyan pa si mommy at saka si daddy who's paying for the bills, di ba? Tapos nakikita rin ng mga bata na yung daddy nila, yung mommy nila, hindi masyadong nag-ipon. Yung mga problema rin ng mga past generation natin or generations before us. Na o kaya namatayan, kaya maagang namatay yung family. So, nakita rin nila yung value ng insurance and investment. So, actually, ang medyo mas kinukuha ngayon yung mga may investment para hindi yung porket kailangan mo mamatay to get the benefits. So, may benefit din siya na living benefit.
Oh, okay. All right. So, because of your client, there's mga client mo mostly overseas OFW or yung pamilya nagtatrabaho sa ibang bansa. Dahil ba dito nagsimula itong Usapang CQ?
Oo, kasi nakita ko parang, bakit wala masyadong story about OFWs? Pero lately, nung mga mid-May, dumami na rin. Kasi talagang nag-swell na yung dating, biglang naging, dati mga paisa-isa, pauta-uta na 300, 500, ngayon biglang 5,000. Dating na bigla sa airport, 5,000. Nung at that time na nag-lockdown, mataas pa rin ang rate. Mataas pa rin yung rate ng infection is because may maraming dumarating na OFW. So napansin by mid-May yung OFW stories. Yun.
So, on Usapang CQ, ano yung sa ating mga listeners at sa mga audience natin, ano ang ma-expect pa nila sa Usapang CQ? So, it's almost how many episode now yung ginagawa mo every Saturday? So, anong may expect nila?
So, actually, every Saturday, 8 p.m. Philippine time, I make it a point to have a Facebook Live. So, for the past siguro 2 months, no, puro geographical ako eh. Middle East, ganyan. Japan, US, nurses. And then, next week, nakita ko kasi, Miko, yung need na talaga ng OFWs. Ano ba yung kailangan nila na parang para may angat man lang sila. Nung last episode ko with sa Saudi, yung isang NGO doon, ang naging problema nila, alam mo ba, Miko, yung 2 polo doon, sarado, kasi nagkaroon ng COVID. So, yung nagsara 2 embassy tsaka consulate, yung mga tumutulong, kailangan na ng tulong. So, apparently, wala nang makakatulong sa mga OFWs. Although, tumutulong naman ngayon. Tumutulong naman yung mga consulate. But ang main point ni Kabong Concha at that time, Kaagapay, is kailangan ng self-empowerment. So next week, ang guest ko, yung how to empower yourself, how to thrive and how to survive. Not just survive, because siguro surviving is for those who think na failure sila. Kalahati pa lang naman ng taon ng 2020. Dapat ang mindsetting ng mga OFWs natin at saka most of the Filipinos siguro, especially those yung mga nakikinig din naman sa Philippines, ay dapat we should not settle for just to survive this pandemic, but to thrive and to succeed. Kasi kailangan nating lumaban, di ba? Kailangan natin labanan
yeah.
ito.
Yeah. Kasi hindi natin alam wala pang vaccine, so still continue pa. Yeah, that's correct. So on the following episode, anong ma-expect natin para sa ating mga viewers?
So I have Tony Miranda. She's a global speaker, international speaker siya on as life coach din, tas transformational mindset. So I'll ask her to give us some tips on how to succeed. Paano ba yan? Paano if you are ang dami problema, wala na akong pera, bakit ganyan pa gusto parang paano pa makakaangat, 'di ba? So, ganun. 'Yun ang abangan natin.
Okay, maraming salamat dyan. So, before we end the show today, any other last advice, tip to our listener and audience, and then also invite them to your podcast as well and your show on FB Live?
Opo. Sa mga nakikinig po ng Guerrilla Podcast Philippines, maraming salamat po sa pagkakataong ito. Manood at makinig din po tayo sa Guerrilla Podcast, podcasters sa ibang mga kasama po natin. May papayo ko lang naman po. I don't want to sound talagang I'm gonna be your teacher, okay? Because lahat ng sinishare namin dito sa podcast, it's all about life experience. So a lot of times na we learn more about how to deal with life from the experience of others. Not just, siguro, we don't have to experience yung failures natin by ourselves, di ba? But by just listening to other experiences, like syempre yung mga failures nila. I have all my failures, I have to admit, di ba? And the thing there is, you just have to keep on trying. You just keep on trying. Parang, sige, darating din tayo dyan na matutuntun din natin yung goal natin. But the most important thing is just to set our goal and just keep aiming to that goal. At syempre, hindi dapat mawawala na humingi tayo ng tulong, ng strength sa ating Panginoon kasi wala naman po tayong ibang pagkukuhaan ng lakas din kundi ang ating Panginoon. Yun po. So actually, ito pong Usapang CQ is just one of the fora for us to share our views, to share, yung syempre OFWs kakaiba yan eh. Alam mo yung Miko, parang parents ko kasi OFWs, no? So dati, bago ako nagtrabaho sa media, naging anak ako ng 2 OFW. So naramdaman ko yung hirap ng family ng OFW. maiwan ka dito. Tapos yung magulang mo nasa labas. Lalo pa ngayon may pandemya. Nung time nandun ako nung time ng Gulf War. So parang kabadong-kabado ako, mangyayari sa tatay ko, kasi nandun sa Saudi Arabia, anytime may Scud missiles. So, ganun din po siguro mga pamilya ngayon ng OFWs. Siyempre, nag-aalala, baka mawala ng trabaho si tatay, si nanay, baka ma-COVID si nanay, si tatay, o kaya yung on the other end naman, yung mga OFWs natin, nag-aalala din, di ba? Aside from the homesickness, iba yung stress Iba yung stress ng OFW kasi walang-wala yung support system. Walang-wala yung support system natin sa isa't isa, as a family, as a unit. Buti na lang may technology. So I'm hoping that with Usapang CQ I was able to and will be able to bridge that gap and to continue the discourse, yung mga kailangan ng mga OFWs at saka families nila sa Philippines. So yun lang po, kapit lang po, palalagpasan po natin tong pandemya na to.
Alright, maraming salamat, Malou. So if anyone want to say contact you, kung yung mga nakikinig o mga nanonood, paano nila ikaw mako-contact?
Okay. So you can reach me po sa Facebook page ko. So just go to Facebook, diba? Facebook.com tapos /Coach Malou Bartolome. Yun po. So meron dun message me or contact me. Sumasagot naman po ako dun. So ayun po.
Alright, maraming salamat. So all the description po ay ilalagay natin on below the button. So para in case that you want to contact Malou or any question about Usapang CQ or meron kayong gustong request na guest sa Usapang CQ, so just message Malou and
Opo. I will be very much glad to get your opinion and to get all your comments, suggestions. Salamat po.
Alright, maraming salamat to Malou Talosig-Bartolome ng Usapang CQ, kung saan mapapanood niyo po sa Facebook Live at also mapapakinggan niyo rin po sa Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate Philippines. Ang website po is www.guerrillapodcast.com.ph. Thank you so much for another episode of Behind the Podcast, Behind Usapang CQ with Malou Talosig-Bartolome. Maraming salamat. See you next week for another episode again. Babu.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe so you're notified when a new episode is posted in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or via RSS. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, rate and review this podcast and share it with your friends. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. And if you want to know more, check out www.guerrillapodcast.com.au or guerrillapodcast.com.ph. A Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate production.